All right, everybody. Happy Friday. Flaming Dragon over there playing the air drums already. It's an emotional day. Hope you guys have had a great week. We've been putting content out all week. We're going live this morning. I know it's at a different time, but we weren't going to let the college football playoff happen, the semis happen, and not have a show talking about what's going to happen or what's already happened in the bowl games. We're going to be back to our normal time on Monday. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Hit that like button. Typically, we go from 6:30 to 8 Central a.m. in the morning every weekday. That's 7:30 to 9 Eastern. But we thought we'd bring you a little special episode today. So really excited, streaming just on YouTube today. We're excited to have you guys in there. Remember, if you want to donate, that's great. We'll throw your question up there quickly. But if you a better way to donate, if you're not already a Daily Wire Plus subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to go and bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback, 23-6.
Boo.
And right now is in the fantasy football championship. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's freaking out about it. David Cohn. And then it's Friday. What's the over-under on the number of times I can say your name?
2.5.
9.5.
2.5. We're going
2.5? Good. I'm going to beat it. I won't say your name
make
one
you
time.
tiptoe around today.
I've actually already forgotten who you are. I'm looking at your face. I'm just getting nothing. I'm 100% Drew Barrymore right now. But Flaming Dragon, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. Guys, I'm going to hop right in. I know the chat's hot. All right, I know it's hot. I can already feel it. My spidey senses are off the charts right now. I'm basically Professor X. But there's been some really good bowl games. There's been some that have kind of been duds. But the overarching theme right now is it's under season, fellas. I don't know if it's a mixture of the opt-outs. Maybe people are playing it safe, make you feel dangerous, but also safe. But, guys, a lot of the unders have hit. I mean, Washington, Texas, 27-20. Mm-hmm. You've had a couple go over, but mostly, David, it's been the unders. Hats off to the defense.
Well, hats off to the defense, and part of that, too, is the over-unders. Everyone that I've seen is set in the high 60s and low 70s. I mean, those numbers, I understand that we've been coming off of a couple weeks of NFL where the overs and unders are at 35. But, I mean, 68 and 70, I understand the offenses have a lot of time to prepare in December, but still, that's just a lot of points. Talking about that Washington, Texas game, fantastic game. That was the bowl game I was most excited to watch this season outside of the playoffs, just because you're going to see both of those great quarterbacks coming back next year. And then the one that really just absolutely shocked me was when Kansas came back on Arkansas. I had given up on that game. I turned it off. I was watching North Carolina, Oregon. My father-in-law texts me, says it's tied. I had to flip back over and watch the end of that 3 overtimes. Man, that's college football, though.
No, it is. And Flaming Dragon, if you look at next year's quarterback class, I keep coming back to, this is going to be one of the most loaded classes that we've seen in a while. It seems like every quarterback that has been featured outside of Bryce Young playing Kansas State tomorrow is returning next year. You look at, obviously, Quinn Ewers. Michael Penix is a great example. Bo Nix, who just played the other day. Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, a lot of guys that are coming back. I know I didn't mention a ton. I know there's a bunch. Cade Klubnik, we're going to see for Clemson later today. So it's a situation where the quarterback board next year is going to be absolutely solid from the top to the bottom. I don't think you'll be having as many questions about a Will Levis or somebody like that in the first 5.
No, I agree. And if you're a lower tier NFL team right now, you have to be super excited what you see on the board. Just the amount of talent right now in the quarterback depth in college football, it's about as good as I've seen in a while. You saw Penix and Quinn Ewers kind of battle out, even in a low-scoring game. David, kind of go back to what you're saying. Jake, I think the opt-outs have a lot to do with it. You're figuring out defenses for a half. Obviously, most of the offense are going to have a couple of trick plays in their bag. It's a bowl game. It's a Bourbon Bowl, baby. Might as well sell it all out. But I'm enjoying, as the one guy who's taken an under this entire bowl season, I took the Kansas and Arkansas under, which was great. I left the game with probably a minute 30 left, mug shots, feeling good about a lot of things. I come back and they're tied and there's 90 points on the board. So look, even if it's low scoring, this bowl season right now has been phenomenal to watch, and it's only going to get better from here.
Well, that's what I say, David. You heard saw Ross Dellinger talk about, they may raise the bowl game win total to be able to qualify for 1 to 8. As a person that loves football, I hate that. Mm-hmm. I want as many games as possible. I enjoy watching Memphis, Utah State. Hell, if they played one down, I'd much rather watch Memphis and Utah State play than go to an NBA game. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather do it. That's the football purist. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't love basketball, but from an entertainment value, I want as many games as possible. And I hate when we just blanket statement about bowl games. Oh, well, all the ones don't matter outside of the playoff, or all the ones should matter the most. You got to take it a case-by-case basis. It is about the teams that are playing each other. It's about the matchup. Styles make fights. Circumstance dictates motivation. Some of these teams are unbelievably excited to be in a bowl game. Look at some of the teams that we've seen be able to finally get in a bowl. Look at Kansas having that hell of a game against Arkansas. Duke getting into a bowl. What Mike Elko's done, if we gave the Coach of the Year award, I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, if we truly gave it out to who did the best job, I don't know how Mike Elko from Duke doesn't get it. You talk about a roster. I mean, it's basically both those twins from HGTV just walked into Duke, made the kitchen better, gave the living room a little more light. Now we're selling the house for double. So I want as many games as possible. I don't buy into this. Oh, well, we should just cancel half the bowl game because they don't matter. I like waking up on December 27th at 11 o'clock a.m. and watching the Bourbon Bowl or the, ChristianMingle.com, let's all be friends and maybe fall in love bowl. Like I love to watch that stuff because I love the game of football.
Well, I touched on that in the bowl game Get Off My Lawn that I did. I have a much bigger problem with the Oh, you remember that one? I apologize again to you, Flaming Dragon. I will call you Flaming Dragon out of respect to make up for that. I have a much bigger problem with the corporatization of the bowl names than I do watching Liberty play Toledo. Like I said, we love that. And I had a listener of the show reach out on Twitter and say, I agree with everything you're saying, but at the same time, it is kind of tough to watch two teams that went 500, 6-6 play each other. Can't you at least have a winning record to be able to go to a bowl game? Because that's the most prestigious award you can get in college football, or at least traditionally it was, to go to a bowl game in the postseason. I get that. I do understand the concept that you probably it would mean more if you had a winning record. The problem is you can't move it from 6 to 7, right? They play an even number of games. So just like you're saying, you'd have to move it up to 8. You raise the bar so high that you would not be able to reward Kansas. Finally, look at what the season that Kansas has had. You would not be able to reward them. Now they lost their bowl game, so they will finish with a losing record on the season, but still, that's a great momentum builder for what that coaching staff at Kansas wants to do moving forward. So I'm a little bit split on it, but I do agree with your main point. The more college football in December, the better.
Yeah.
Pump it in my veins. I mean, why win 8 wins just to go to play in the Cheez It Who Cares Bowl?
Well, like who's gonna
let a team win 6 games? And all conferences aren't built the same. Our schedules aren't built the same. It'd have been an absolute travesty if we didn't see Kansas in a bowl game after what Kansas did. I mean, Utah State. I mean, just go down the list. Like, you can find certain teams, even with 6 wins, 7 wins, that are quality programs and quality teams and are fun games to watch. And you'd be surprised most of the time during bowl season, these nonchalant games, these teams you really never heard of, end up being some of the best damn bowl games you'll end up watching during the season. So I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio started out, I believe it was Miami, Ohio started out 0-6, finishes the year 6-6 to get. You tell me it doesn't mean something to those guys who hung around in Miami of Ohio, not Miami, Florida, not a bunch of stuff to do outside. You're not going to the beach. There's no beaches in Miami of Ohio. How
about Florida State, Oklahoma, boys?
Dude,
one of the best bowl games you could watch. Oklahoma was 6-6. You wouldn't have gotten that game.
I know. I was shocked at how well Oklahoma played on defense early in that game with the lack of speed they have in the secondary. And then at the linebacker position, even though those guys did make a couple tackles sideline to sideline. But I want to get into the individual bowl games. Obviously, we have NFL. We have college basketball. Bracketology is getting released this week, which means it's starting to – what's that smell? Oh, yeah, it's March, the greatest postseason tournament of all time in the history of the world, going back to the Romans. They had no idea what they were doing. But I want to hop in the chat, Flaming Dragon. What's going on right now? Because I know it's hotter.
Let's go to Troy Jacobs. Let's wake up and choose violence today, guys. It's Friday. $5 donation, Troy. I appreciate you, brother. Go Ducks. How do you feel about a player or a coach who is transferring or takes another job, still coaching or playing for the old team? I hate it. It's disgusting.
I don't see how that works. Like okay, so and look, I get some of these guys have been at the place for 4 years, right? Grayson McCall, been there at Coastal, helped build Coastal up with Jamie Chadwell, wants to play in the last game. But to me, that's like, all right, yeah, we're getting a divorce. All right, it may be amicable, but we're still in the same house. Like, I don't want to sleep in the same bed next to you at night anymore. Like,
I'm not for open relationships.
Yeah, I'm not in an open relationship. And that is an open relationship. Like, I don't want to go move to the mountains of Utah and there'd be like 13 of us, or do what Sam Friedman, whatever his name was, did in the Bahamas. I'm not down with that. All right. You're either with me or you're not with me. All right. Especially if I'm paying the electric bill and the mortgage. You're either with me or you're not with me. I don't like it. I get how in some circumstances it can be like a final, goodbye or whatever. But how about we just shake hands at the field house, go our separate ways. Let me get my NIL. Y'all do y'all's. I don't like staying on the same team. It's just weird. That dynamic is weird to me.
I guess I don't have as big of a problem with it. I guess it depends on which team you're transferring to. Are you leaving to the same?
You don't have a problem with
David.
it.
If anything, I thought you would have a problem.
You want to give them capital punishment if they did that.
Capital punishment. I mean, I think the best way to handle it would be someone like Sam Hartman, right? If you're going to do that, like he played in the bowl game and then announced after that he was going to enter the transfer portal, right? And speaking of which, look, I think Notre Dame's getting a heck of a quarterback. I saw some Notre Dame fans talking about this guy. This isn't the second coming of Joe Montana or Brady Quinn. I'm like, well, he has more career touchdowns than both of those guys in college. So
yeah, let's not act like Brady Quinn was Joe Montana either, guys. Like, I mean,
well, even in college, I had to pull Joe Montana's stats at Notre Dame up after that: 25 TDs and 25 picks. You know, it's like you can't just take the pro version of Joe Montana when you talk
a game,
huh?
I said they threw it like 12 times a game too. So
look, I get it. We ran the wishbone in high school. I feel him. You know.
All right, let's go to Devin21. What's up, Devin? Hashtag Ask Crandon Company says, can you please explain clock stoppage in college football? I can't seem to keep it straight. Last night, Texas kept going out of bounds, but the clock only stopped to reset the ball.
Yeah, it depends on how much time is left. If there's 2 minutes or less. And so here's the old rule in college football used to be if you went out of bounds, the clock just stopped. And it would not stop until the ball was snapped. Well, they changed that a little bit. They treat out of bounds outside of 2 minutes almost like they do a first down. They stop the clock, they move the chains, then they reset it. If you run out of bounds on 1st and 10 and there's 8 minutes to go in the quarter, they're going to stop the clock for a second. Then that referee is going to whistle it in. They're going to start the clock going again. I know how people can kind of get frustrated and not really understand. Something interesting to watch, especially if you're a bettor, and we talked about this a lot last year, is some clock operators are fast operators, some are slow. You see sometimes when guys get first downs or teams get first downs, it's like that clock automatically just stopped for 1 second, quick pause, and then starts again. Other times it feels like it takes forever, depending on whether you have the over or the under. You're going to like or hate that situation. But when it comes to clock stoppage, that's how it works with out of bounds. Now, under 2 minutes, that clock stops. That clock totally stops when you go out of bounds. There is no resetting. Unlike a first down, which they reset it and then they start the clock again. So
a couple things here I want to get to real quick. One is, isn't it funny how you take an over, the clock just seems to just continuously go and never stop. You take the under, that thing won't move to save your life. At the end of the day, it's on the head referee.
Like when you're driving somewhere, it takes longer to get there, and then when you're coming back, it seems like it doesn't take long.
It's on the head referee when he runs his. I think that's how they really dictate betting, to be honest. We get down to the nuts and bolts of things. And then one thing, I have a question about the NFL. The NFL has a rule: if you get pushed out of bounds, or your momentum stops while you're inbounds, so they still run the clock. Do y'all know the true definition of what they do in the NFL when it comes to that?
I don't. I was going to bring that point up too. It's so confusing.
Well, so I guess they're the way I've seen it explained is the forward progress stopped. It's basically a forward progress play. But to me, like, even if I've stopped your progress forward and I'm pulling you out of bounds and you land out of bounds, you should be out of bounds. Like I've seen enough plays that are stopped inbounds and enough plays that are stopped out of bounds. Now, it's different if somebody's tackling you to the sideline and your knee hits inbounds before you go out of bounds and the ball touches. That's one thing. But if somebody's got you wrapped up and they turn you around and spin you and take you from in play to out of play, even if that forward progress stopped, then the play should be out of bounds. To me, that's like, all right, well, the minute that you collide with somebody and it's a stalemate, well, forward progress is stopped. So if he tackles you forward or you run him over, it doesn't matter. I don't like that rule in theory. I think we're making things way too complicated.
I agree. All right, let's go to Michael Williams. Blaine, I'm a Daily Wire member, but I'm not being able to access the Daily Wire live chat since I started watching your show. I may request a Daily Wire, but I just want to know if anyone else can. Michael, we will get on that. I will get on that. I'll send that.
It's just this week. The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire is dark this week on the website, but you can catch us here on YouTube this week or on podcast. And then Daily Wire is back up next Tuesday.
Yep.
All right, love it. Let's go to Jessup Polk. He says the clock will stop if you go out while going forward. If you are going backwards, the clock won't stop in the NFL. If you're going backwards, get pushed out of the bounds, the clock.
Yeah, that's my whole problem with it. Okay, well then why don't we treat everything like that? The minute you stop, so if somebody got hit backwards and stumbled and stays up and then runs and goes scores, then the play shouldn't count. Like this, I feel like that's getting close to we need to let the play finish. It's obvious when guys are piled up and it's a rugby scrum and nobody's moving. Or obviously if somebody gets taken to the ground. But we've seen times now that you're allowed to push people, which I think is a terrible rule, one of the worst rules there is, on top of if you get a targeting in a bowl game, you have to sit out the first half of the first game next year in college football, which is the dumbest rule.
That's the worst, man.
Ever.
That's the worst.
I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan.
All right, let's go to Jessup Polk. What's up, Jessup? He says, should there be a 3-day window after the national championship game that guys can declare for the portal? This long-term window can't be good for college football. Cone, what do you think?
Look, Jake and I have been on the same page on this from the beginning. I think is that obviously there need to be windows to this thing, and shrinking the windows is the best solution to me. But I think there are other ways to go too. I would make it to where you can't transfer unless you've been at a school for 2 seasons, unless your coach leaves. Blaine, you and I were talking about that one the other day, and then I would take that side of it and piggyback it with what Jake's always said, which is eliminate in-conference transfers. After that, I feel like you still allow kids to leave when the circumstances dictate, or if they feel like they're in a situation where a coach that recruited them left, they don't feel like they're being exploited anymore.
Yeah, here's what I don't understand. I get that the transfer portal and high school recruiting are two different things, but why do we have like 2 or 3 days blocked out in December and February where you pretty much have to sign if you're a high school kid? Yet in the transfer portal, the window's just wide open the whole time. You can sign today, you can sign tomorrow, you can sign next week. We need to treat high school recruiting signing day or signing window like we do with the transfer portal. I would like if the transfer portal did not go live, which means you cannot sign somewhere until after the first of the year.
Okay.
I feel like that's how we should do it. Not that you can't, again, you can put your name in the portal.
Okay.
You can say, all right, hey, I'm going out here, guys. I am transferring. But at the end of the day, I don't think you should be able to sign until after the first of the year. All right. To me, I think that helps. Maybe, if you do, all right, want to play in the bowl game and you're still in the transfer portal, there's a chance to come back, right? There's a chance maybe they can talk you into coming back. You're not really just using that university as another tryout for another university. I don't like the way we do signing day in high school recruiting. I think we should treat it more like the transfer portal, giving it a window, but I don't think that window should start until after the first of the year. I think that buttons it up a little bit. I think it tightens it up a little bit. And that doesn't mean you can't go get guys. You can get commitments. I mean, guys in high school commit all the time without signing. What's the difference?
Yeah, I like that too. I like that. You can enter the portal before January 1st, but you can't commit to your new school.
Can't sign. Yes. Can't sign.
I like that.
All right. Love it. Love it. Great job, guys. Pretty excited for both of you about that. Let's go to Laura Brown, $5 donation. Laura, thank you. She says, how about that beatdown my Red Raiders put on Ole Miss? Best game so far, in my obviously biased opinion. Will that be the only Big 12 win? I don't think so.
No, I've got one for you that's happening tomorrow that we're going to get into, believe it or not.
Kansas State?
Here's my thing on Texas Tech. I love what Coach McGuire is doing. I love when Texas Tech runs this type of offense. When Texas Tech has been good, what have they run? I'm Cone. I know you argue against this, and I feel you. Just because we did things here for a while doesn't mean we can't change our identity. You look at Georgia Southern now running the spread option and doing all that stuff to throwing it 800,000 times a game, which we're not going to talk about what Georgia Southern did to me. We'll talk about that later.
And me too.
But when I look at Texas Tech, it just seems like this is a good fit. Zach Kitley, he's not going to be there for long. The offensive coordinator who was at Western Kentucky with Bailey Zappa and then went over to Texas Tech. They had a hell of a year offensively with Tyler Shugg, the transfer from Oregon. I would not be shocked if you saw Kitley as a head coach within the next 2 years. But Joey McGuire, that was a great idea to give him the extension. He loves Texas Tech. He knows how to recruit West Texas. Texas Tech showed up to that game and looked like they had the swag that Ole Miss claims to have. And I'm going to go back to what happened. Everybody talks about, Lane Kiffin, and people say, you grew up an Auburn fan, whatever. Lane Kiffin trolled Auburn. It's looking like he trolled Ole Miss is what it's looking like to me, because he just snatched a lot of money. There's not a lot of momentum right now in Oxford when you look at the way they fell off a cliff at the end of the year. The rumors of Lane leaving, Lane wanting more people in the stadium. You drop the bag. Now they're out here going 1 for 8 on fourth down. Can't run the ball against a Texas Tech team that has struggled to stop the run all year when you're supposed to be one of the best rushing offenses. If I'm an Ole Miss fan right now, or I'm an Ole Miss administrator, or somebody's making decisions, you better have a good year next year. You better follow up what was a good year that fell off a cliff at the end. You look at what they're doing in recruiting, not much. Hugh Freeze took him 3 weeks to jump him in recruiting, and Ole Miss fans will say, oh, well, we're going to try and dominate the transfer portal. That's great. That's fine, but it's very risky to build the whole ship out of transfers when you need to build it from high school developed players with a mix of transfers, using that to clog up the holes on the ship. So when I look at that Ole Miss game, they looked uninspired. Jackson Dart still does not see people in the intermediate passing game. The offensive line didn't play very well. They got out-efforted, I thought, by Texas Tech. That would worry me the most.
So a couple points to your first point there. I'm all for a program having an identity from a system standpoint, either on offense or on defense, especially when it's working. So if Georgia Southern wants to run the triple option and win 6 national championships like they did, that's awesome. And that becomes ingrained in people's brains, sort of like you're talking about with a system that Texas Tech has run. But when it's not working and you have a couple losing seasons in a row, I don't think, and you have different coaching staffs that come in feeling forced to run that same system that maybe an Irk Russell or someone prior had success with, I don't think it's a smart move to say, well, we have to run this system because that's what our school's always done. Now, if that's just a part of your identity and you can have success like that, then that's fine. And look, I took Texas Tech in this game because, to your point, Jake, anybody who watched Ole Miss down the stretch there, it wasn't just they were losing football games. It was that they were out-efforted and they were uninspired. We knew the back half. They started 7-0, Ole Miss, right? We knew the back half of the schedule was intense, but there were still football games on the back end that they should have won. I thought that they would win the Egg Bowl. They did not. Mike Leach, RIP to Mike Leach, came out with a huge victory there. And then in this game too, I think this is a bowl game that Ole Miss could have won. If Ole Miss were to face Texas Tech in the regular season when they were 7-0, everybody in the country would have taken Ole Miss to win the football game and probably rush for 300 yards. But just the way that season finished out, all of the drama surrounding Kiffin possibly going to Auburn and then not going, it ended sort of like how I saw it coming. So I took Texas Tech in this one, and I agree with you. You got to do something next year to rally this fan base around the fact that you stayed, and they were excited that you stayed.
Yeah,
Well,
and they dropped the bag on.
Yeah, a couple things here. One, if you'd have told me that Texas Tech would outrush Ole Miss in this bowl game, I would have looked at you and called you a liar. Now, 100% of people who took that would not have known that would have happened. That was the last thing I thought would happen. If you're an Ole Miss fan, I'm asking one thing. Obviously, Lane can coach a system. He can coach quarterbacks. But how much do you believe in Jackson Dart? If he's really your guy, because I promise you, it's 10 wins max. With that kid, it's going to be 10 wins max. He's going to make the mistake at key moments. What Jake says, he is seeing through people. And once you start seeing through linebackers, especially in the middle of that field, he just absolutely doesn't think twice. He's a gunslinger type of guy. And with a defense that really can't stop anybody, when it really comes down to the brass tacks of football against a good program, it's not going to stop many people. Do you trust Jackson Dart to outthrow your competition? And to me, I don't. You have the back. You have the weapons at receiver for sure. But I will not take Jackson Dart to the bank to win me big games.
Yeah, well, you're not going to have a better run game than what you had this year to pass off of. So, again, can Lane Kiffin survive? I know you want to be balanced. We talk about this all the time. I think Lane's more of a run-to-pass guy than what people think. But can you really do the things and beat the teams that Ole Miss has to get where they think they can go by just lining up, getting in 11 personnel and running the ball, trying to run the ball down people's throats, and then turning the ball over in the pass game? When Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are cooking, it's when that ball's coming out everywhere. They're taking advantage of space everywhere in the run game and the pass game. It seems like it was a great dimension they had, but they were very one-dimensional this year, and you did have Mingo. You had some guys on the outside that you felt good about. I'm looking at the trajectory of Ole Miss right now after what you just paid Lane Kiffin, and you look at that schedule next year, it's not exactly a walk in the park.
I agree. Let's go to Sean. What's up, Sean? Says, what do you think of the targeting call in the Kansas-Arkansas game in overtime? I understand why it would be called, but what was kind of a bang-bang play to me at the end?
I hated the call. I hated the call. That wasn't a slide, okay? If you were sliding and giving yourself up and there was contact, even if you're low and there's contact to the head or neck area, I get it. I can understand that penalty. But when you are trying to score a 2-point conversion to tie the game at the end, and that quarterback goes low, you should be allowed to go low with the quarterback. Here's the greatest hypocrisy in all of football. You talk about player safety. You want people to be careful. You change the rules so that defensive players can hit a 2-foot radius on a quarterback, especially in the NFL. You can't hit anybody when they're going low. You can't hit anybody when they're high. Even when you lead with your shoulder, sometimes if it hits them in a certain spot, it's targeting. But yet the offensive player can duck his head and the crown of his helmet and run over you. You can, as an offensive player, stiff arm and face mask a defender, pull his helmet down, and not get it called.
We're doing a better job of that.
If we're gonna be serious about player safety, call it on the offensive players like you do against the defensive players. But it's not about player safety overall, in my opinion. I think some of it is. I think it's another way to give that offense another 15 yards that can help them go put the ball in the end zone to get more people to watch the game. Think about that for a second. That'd be like saying, okay, well, here in our society, if you're on one side of the ball or one side of the line, you can hit somebody with a baseball bat as hard as you want. But if you're on the other side and you hit them with a baseball bat, not only are you penalized, you're exiled from the village. So I don't, it makes no sense to me. Treat it even. I watch running backs lower that crown all the time. I see it all the time, and they run into defenders. Half of targetings are because the offensive player lowered his crown, so the defensive player lowered his hat, because it's a game of leverage. It's conflicting. If you're going to call it the same. But have some situational awareness. And you know what? If I'm that referee, I'm not throwing the flag. You want to know why? Because that big eye in the sky will tell me if it is targeting. But I'm not deciding the game on that play when the quarterback's going low and not sliding to try and get the 2-point conversion. But I will tell you something I do love, guys. This expedited review, sign me up. Sign me up all day. I think this is fantastic for the game. If you don't know what the expedited review is, it's where, all right, we all see the plays where it's an obvious fumble or it's not a fumble or it's a catch or it's not a catch, and they still take 2 or 3 minutes to have to jog over there. The referee, suns out, guns out, running over to the camera, jogging over there, and it's a 2 or 3 minute review. Now, the guy, if it's a bang play or they want to change it, just buzzes down, hey, man, it's an obvious incompletion. Let's go ahead and call it incomplete. It makes so much sense.
Why aren't they doing that anyway? We should have been doing that. The person in the sky watching every single one, you and I can tell in a split second based off the slow motion review. We don't need you to walk over to the sidelines for anything. Just have your earpiece in and have one review referee up in the box. This should have been happening, so I think it will be good. On the play that you guys are talking about in the Arkansas-Kansas game, how else are you supposed to stop a guy from scoring on the goal line in overtime with the game on the line? I was shaking my head.
The one thing about it is, I mean, at the end of the day, targeting, what we want, consistency, right? We just want consistency on both sides of the ball, but that was targeting in the Arkansas-Kansas game. You lowered your head, you launched, hit the dude with the top of your crown. Is it fair or not? No, I don't think it is. But you did target him. All right. That's why they call it targeting, and you got thrown out of the game. Should it be changed? Sure. Can we find a way to work around it? I don't know if it's really about player safety. But do I think the ref should have thrown that flag? No. If I'm the ref, I keep it in my pocket. Same thing you said, Jake. They're going to tell me if it's targeting. Then we'll go on from there. But that was targeting on that play.
Again, it's an impossible play to make then. He should be down.
Don't lead with your crown. Don't duck your head.
The quarterback ducks his head. And you know this, Blaine. You've had to tackle people before. The quarterback ducks his head to try and roll in. So that's like saying, okay, baseball player in Major League Baseball, just go up in the box and lay down. Just lay down vertically. Just lay down vertically, because there is no strike zone. If you're not up, there is no. So just lay down vertically. They can never throw a strike. It's the stupidest rule. Sliding, I get it. I totally get it. The play's dead. They even move it back to where he started the slide. We can shake hands, look each other in the eyes, be friends, forever, go have a beer together. But when you lower to go score, that should have been offensive targeting then.
I agree. You get a call on both of them.
Yeah, well, the first person that the offensive player typically initiates when it's low, when the play is low. Sometimes you'll see guys go low after guys flip them in different circumstances. But that offensive player most of the time is going to dictate where he gets hit. That's just how it works. So when you go low like that and you want to lower your head, well, I'm going to lower my head because I can't jump kick you. This isn't rush hour 3.
And targeting has become synonymous with the rule that is to protect the player who's being hit. So in that case, it wasn't in the head or neck area. Didn't he get him in the shoulder?
He
So
hit him.
can we get?
So here's
He
my
got him in
no,
the
no,
shoulder.
no.
So
He
can
hit
we
him
have a
in the-
different term if that flag was thrown because you lowered your head and we're trying to prevent concussions and injuries to the person who's actually doing the hitting? Then can we just have a different term for that?
Yeah, well, I thought he led with his shoulder. See that he grazed the side of his helmet, but the thing that made impact was his shoulder on his neck area when the player was going down. I just don't know another way.
He hit his helmet first, obviously.
I think it grazed it. You have times. There's times where helmets hit and they don't call targeting. It's about what you're leading with or what you
led with his
down.
helmet. Yeah,
no, I don't
think he
thrown
out.
He led with his shoulder.
All right, let's go with Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane Company. He says, ooh, little SEC talk. So SEC is starting to look overrated with a 1-3 bowl record and Arkansas barely beating Kansas.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I was going to say this next week. We have to start living in reality. Okay. We have to start using bowl games to dictate how good a year that a team had when you have so many opt-outs and you have so many guys not playing is not the best way to do it. You have to look at the regular season games. That'd be like saying, okay, well, you know what? Let's do this. How about in college basketball, we just put all the teams in the NCAA tournament that did good in the conference tournament. Forget the regular season. It doesn't matter. You're having teams play without quarterbacks, starting offensive tackles, starting defensive players. It is such a new age of bowl games. I can't sit here and say, okay, well, you know what? I think Team A is better than Team B because they played in the Hula.com Bowl or the Meineke Car Care Plus Bowl, and there was 19 opt-outs. But hey, they beat an SEC team. And think about it, guys. All these teams that are playing SEC teams have a lot more motivation in these bowl games than the SEC teams do. All they hear about is SEC teams. Oh, we get our shot to knock off Goliath. Well, guess what? I didn't realize Goliath was in a wheelchair because that's basically what these teams are without some of their top players. It takes away the whole point. So I don't want to say meaningless, but there should be like an opt-out position ratio matrix that we should make to where you're not playing the true team. This Ole Miss team that just played Texas Tech, like you said, Cone, is a lot different than Week 5 Ole Miss that we saw during the regular season. And you see it. I mean, Oklahoma. Look at who they were missing. A lot of big schools are having guys opt out. Why? Because most of those players go to the NFL because that's the way it works. I don't like using bowl games that aren't of championship caliber or New Year's 6 and above to sit here and say, all right, well, this conference is better than that conference. But you know how we fix it, David? You know how we fix it? We listen to me. We listen to me in the soccer plan to win the World Cup. We do the Big 12 SEC challenge in college football. Game 1, like we do in college basketball. ACC, Big 10, Game 1. All right, Maryland, you guys are playing Florida State. All right, Auburn, you guys are playing TCU. First game. I feel like we should do it like they do in college basketball. I know that's impossible. I know it'll never happen. But I'm still going to keep asking for it. And I know people are wondering about the facial hair. Reed wanted me to have the beard on the show one time to see how it looks. I hate it. I hate growing it. It's not going to make it 10 minutes after this show. So, Reed, I know you're listening. I hate this, and it's your fault.
Well, on the SEC bowl record so far, every bowl game is a unique matchup with unique circumstances in terms of who's playing and who's not playing. I will say, and if you're using the SEC record so far to justify that the Southeastern Conference isn't the most dominant conference in college football, I really do think that's a mistake. At the same time, some of these matchups, they do matter. I mean, you look at Ole Miss and Texas Tech. Ole Miss had their best players playing in that football game. And so the idea that that game doesn't mean as much to Ole Miss as it does Texas Tech, I'm sitting here wondering why. Y'all haven't done anything. And Alabama and Kansas State is one that could be said, okay, Alabama makes the championship every year. Georgia, LSU, some of these teams make the championship every year. They're not in the college football playoff. They're not going to take an opponent like Kansas State as seriously, and you mess around and you get beat. But someone like Ole Miss or Missouri, these teams need to be playing as hard as they can in bowl games anyway. And I think that mostly what it'll prove is that there are really good football players and really good football teams all around the country. And we have to stop with the narrative that, oh, this conference is weak, so any winner from that conference doesn't deserve a chance to be in the postseason or to be in XYZ bowl. And then also on that is to remain consistent through each sport. And when a conference goes, if the SEC were 6-0 right now, then we have to say the same thing, which is, well, some of those opt-outs for the other teams, didn't matter. We saw this in 2020 with the Big Ten in college basketball. They were during the regular season, they were the best conference in college basketball. They got to the tournament. They lost every big game. And we're like, what happened to the Big Ten in the tournament? Well, two things were true, right? They were dominant during the regular season, and they had a very poor postseason performance.
Well, I think when it comes down to these bowl games, there's a couple things. One, I do think that it matters to the coaches and the players. I mean, you look at Eli Drinkowitz on that sidelines in that game. Hell yeah, it mattered. But two, I do think you have to take the opt-out into consideration. Is it annoying to do? For sure, but you have to. And I'm sure there's a lot more SEC guys who opt out than any other probably conference. And I would think just because looking for the draft record, it sucks, but I do think you have to give credit where credit's due, and you have to give credit to these teams that are beating the SEC right now. And I mean, you look at Missouri, you look at Ole Miss. Are you surprised by these losses? No. Once we get in the upper tier, kind of the SEC, that's when I think the SEC starts swinging things around. But I really can't wait for this Alabama-Kansas State game. I think it's going to be one of the best bowl games we've seen in a while, because the best of the best. And another thing I said about Alabama and Nick Saban, I mean, you got your top 5 guys out there. Two first-round top 5 picks are playing for Alabama, and it says a lot of Nick Saban. And this Kansas State team, whether or not they made the playoff or not, beat TCU, they're coming to win this game. Both these teams are coming to win this game.
Yeah.
It gets to a level to where it does matter to the players and the coaches.
Yeah, I think I may have answered Travis Elrod's question wrong. He's talking about conference perception due to bowl performance. So I'm looking at Chris E in the chat here. He says, all right, I just don't get it. Bowl games are earned by how you compete during the season, but when they lose, it doesn't reflect how they played all season. Again, I think treating it generically like that doesn't make sense. So since Kansas lost to Arkansas by 2, does that mean that Kansas really wasn't as good as what everybody thought they were? No, I don't think that's true. I think you've got to be able to use that in every situation if you're going to sit here and judge it. What I'm saying is what Blaine is saying. Being excited, guys, it comes down to how much talent you have. If everybody played how as excited they were, nobody would ever play bad. That's not how this works. It comes down to execution. So when you have people opting out at very important positions, you have a worse player in there. That wasn't what you were at full strength. Now, nobody is at full strength after the first game of the year because guys get beat up. And look, I'm be the first one to say, I think the Pac-12 can give the SEC a run for its money next year for the way that I'm looking at it. I'll be the first one to sit here and tell you when I think an SEC team's not good. But if you don't think the SEC is the best conference in college football overall, like, I just can't help you, because then you don't care about the draft. Then you don't care about national championships. Like, I don't, there's no other metric. You're going to use the metric of the Duke's Mayo Bowl over who wins the most national championships or who has the most players in the NFL draft? That's not how that works. In any other business, that would be laughed out of the room. So to me, it's not bias, it's reality. Now, does that mean that the SEC is going to have the best team every year in college football? No. I think there's some teams going into next year. I'm interested to see how the SEC looks next year, honestly, in the way the transfer portals work and how college football is going to work. But to use a bowl record back in the day, back in 1989, hell, back in 2002, yes, let's look at bowl records. Let's do that. That's a great way to tell. People are playing in those games. You didn't have opt-outs, but it is a totally different world right now that we live in the bowl games. Even group of 5 bowl games against each other, you have players opting out. So you have to look at reality. It's not bias if it's true. Our boss says facts don't care about your feelings, and he's exactly right. Trevor, the middle of the SEC is overrated. I think there are some overrated teams there, but I'm not just talking about the middle of the SEC. Here's the problem. You got to talk about the whole thing. Just because one turkey leg's bad doesn't mean the whole turkey's bad. There's a lot of conferences that have a lot of problems in the middle of the conference. There are some overrated teams. I thought Kentucky was overrated. I thought Ole Miss was overrated. We said this during the year, but you still have to look at the whole thing. You can't pick and choose things to make yourself feel right. That's just not how the world works.
That's what I'm saying. So we have to do the same thing if the SEC goes 8-0 in bowl season 2.
That's exactly right.
You know That's exactly
right. That's exactly right. But I mean, again, I don't think you'd be arguing that if the SEC is going 8-0 in bowl games, arguing, well, the SEC, the bowl games don't matter as much. I would sit here and say, all right, well, look, if Team A from the SEC is playing Team B from a different conference, and Team B has 3 players that have opted out, including an offensive tackle, and everybody's playing from the SEC team, hell yeah, I'm going to say they were overrated, or that was a reflection of how you were during the year. We just, again, you have to be consistent with it, and I'm going to be the same way with the Big Ten. I'd be the same way with the ACC and things like that. It's just how it works.
Let's go to Evan McCarville with a $2 donation. He says the NCAA overturned that targeting after the game. I believe he's talking about Kansas, Arkansas. All right, let's go to
big. That's big. So now you don't have to sit out the first half
of the next season. Yeah, first game.
Big deal.
But you're still penalized at the goal line, right? I mean, there's nothing retroactively they can do about the penalty at the time.
No, but I mean, and nobody will ever get fired because referees face no accountability. Politicians.
So to Troy Jacobs. Troy Jacobs with another donation. Troy, appreciate it, brother. Says UCLA can pull out a victory today. The Pac-12 will have 6-10 win teams. That's all, baby.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a year, and I'm looking at next year too, man. I'm looking at the Pac-12 next year with what Jonathan Smith's doing out at Oregon State. Obviously, with what Chip Kelly's going to be able to do out there at UCLA, getting Dante Moore to come in as a young guy is a guy I'm excited about. I love the physicality of this year's UCLA team. You look at USC with Caleb Williams coming back. You look at Oregon with Bo Nix coming back. You look at Utah with Cam Rising, who I think is coming back. I mean, I haven't seen anything about Cam Rising leaving or hopping in the portal. The Pac-12 next year is going to be as good as I can remember it. From top to bottom, not middle, Trevor, or not just bottom. The whole conference is going to be good. You have to look at the whole conference. I'm excited to watch it.
All right, let's go to Ryan McCarthy. What's up, Ryan? He says, you know which SEC football team will not be overrated next year? Fellas, do y'all know? Don't look at the chat. Yeah.
Which one?
We can't have nice things, dude. This can't have nice things.
Georgia?
Yeah, Vanderbilt.
Oh, man.
No, expectations, though. Expectations, Ryan, for sure. Don't forget it.
Very, very true.
Let's go to Jessup Polk. For the record, Tennessee lost to Georgia State to start the season recently, and I would be irate if there were the guys that weren't taking this game today seriously. I think Tennessee's taking every second of this game. So I don't know how much you're going to get out of Joe Milton. I know one thing, there might be some MLB scouts there to see how hard he's throwing that football, to see how hard he can throw a baseball.
I can't wait to watch Joe Milton overthrow everybody in the stadium. But look, I hope he has a good game. I hope this is a good game. But without Jalen Hyatt, without Cedric Tillman, without Hendon, here's a great example. You want a great example? Here we go. No Hendon Hooker. You're out your top 2 receivers. I believe you got a couple linemen opting out. But if I'm Clemson, looking at how Klubnik does, this is a big springboard game for next year. You got some momentum with him against North Carolina, obviously, in the ACC championship game. He seems to be the guy going forward. You go put together a good performance against Tennessee. You kind of flip a little bit of that negativity that we saw throughout the year with Dabo, even though it's, I'd love to be negative going 10-2, that are going 11-2. That's a great situation. But I'm very interested to see how Cade plays tonight, because I think it could be a big springboard for Clemson going into next year in an ACC that with Florida State, with Drake May coming back for North Carolina, Jeff Brom going to Louisville. I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the top of the ACC shakes out next year. I do like Clemson in this game, guys, because of the quarterback issues that Tennessee is going to have with Joe Milton. And when you run the style of system that Tennessee does and you go that fast, if you get a couple 3-and-outs early or you're getting 3-and-outs by the bunches, that defense is going to be out there on the field forever. And Clemson is good enough, even though they don't have the best skill players that they've ever had there. I do like Shipley and some of the guys that they have, Cade's ability to run the ball outside of the pocket, extend the play, do all those things. I think Clemson wins this game. I actually think they cover, guys.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Blaine, who do you have in this one?
Man, it's really hard for me to pick anything to go with Joe Milton. I've seen him throughout his entire career. I was reading Andy J's comment here, and I'm trying not to just absolutely laugh myself out of the room. He says, I'm not worried about Joe Milton winning the Tennessee game. I'm more worried about him killing someone with one of his missed throws. He says, dude couldn't hit water, and what he does hit is probably paralyzed. Does Joe... I mean, he can throw the heater. Like we know, he gets on the mound, he can throw the heater. That's great. But sooner or later, you get to a place where the skill level is so good around you, you got to be able to throw the off speed. So I want to see Joe Milton be able to come in this game against a good Clemson defense, which I don't know. A lot of guys are opting out for Clemson. I mean, they believe in Dabo, Sweeney, and God together. Maybe that's the recipe. But Joe Milton has to beat me this game if I'm Clemson. Clemson can turn around and do what? Hand the ball off. with Shipley, go get 4, go get 5. We'll run easy play actions. But you know the identity and who they are, the schematic-wise on offense for Tennessee, it's that quarterback. That's what gets them going. Sure, he can throw 120 yards on a post. That's great. Can you throw the 10-yard out? Can you go through the progression on the middle of the field and find the slot receiver where you need to find him? I don't believe in Joe Milton like that. I have to see it to believe it. Give me Clemson. I like the under and the cover.
Well, Joe Milton isn't the only question mark at quarterback in this game because we haven't really seen it from Cade Klubnik either. And if you're going to have a question mark at quarterback, you'd much rather be playing Tennessee's defense than Clemson's defense. I do agree with that. But I'm going to take the Tennessee Volunteers. I think Pahokie's finest, Joe Milton, transfer from Michigan, figures it out. Maybe a couple of those balls actually get lodged in the shoulder pads of wide receivers, and they just keep running, and then you get a Forrest Gump situation for a touchdown.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, Trevor with us. This last thing I'm going to say about it. Trevor says SEC losing bowl records 2016, 2017, 2018, 2021, 2022. Now do national championships in those years. What is it, 15 out of the last 19? You've dominated the NFL draft every year. If you think that bowl records matter when it comes down to figuring out who the best team is over the NFL draft and national championships, there is some beachfront property in Iowa that I just heard about the other day. I can sell you for an amazing price. That's like looking at Gal Gadot and saying you had one bad day, so you're really not hot, but oh wait, you didn't have any of your arms or legs or any in the important parts to be able to go outside. That's not how football works, Trevor. So for you to be right, you are saying that everybody in the NFL, every scout is wrong. They don't have any idea what they're doing. So how about you start a team? Let's see how you do. It's if you're judging teams off of bowl records with opt-outs about how good they were during the year, about how good that conference is, then I can't help you. I can go get Mark Ruffalo. We can put you on a boat. We can set up a scenario in which you think you're helping other people, but at the end, we're trying to get you to see the light and come back to reality. We call that pulling a Shutter Island. I'll bring the boat up. You tell me where to meet you. We'll diagram the whole scenario. That's just not the truth. I'm sorry, man.
Well, we got to get over this conference, like this conference allegiance stuff. Like I don't understand it.
Yeah, look, first of all, I'm more of a Dua Lipa guy myself, and second of all, Trevor, look, we see where you're coming from, and look, no one's SEC biased here. Whatever the best conference is, the best conference. I've given the rat's ass who the best conference is, but just doing bowl records is not going to get it done. I think if any metric you should ever look at, I think it's the draft.
I disagree. I don't think it should be the draft. I think it should be championships. I don't care who gets drafted. I don't care who gets drafted. Like that's professional football. We're talking about college football. It should be championships. And for the last decade and a half, the SEC has dominated national championships because those are the teams that are elevating through the conference and beating all of the rest of the conference, especially now that a 14 playoff has been instilled, because you're not having a situation where you're just, picking two teams at the end of the season like the BCS, and one of them is always, it opens itself up for some sort of SEC biased and one of them just wins the game. I mean, we've seen Alabama not even be able to win their division. They're still the best team in the country, and they end up winning the national championship.
I love it.
God. I see Reed's in here. She said, Jake, I bet Gal doesn't cook as well as me, so be smart.
God,
no, look, she doesn't. Gal Gadot sucks compared to you. I'll tell her that to her face. Wonder Woman, yeah, you don't know anything.
Let's go to Sister Riggs. What's up, sister? She says, when we finally get a system where champions are really the champion, then I'll care about which conference wins the most. What system you think we should go to, Sister Riggs?
Yeah, let us know what system you think there.
Look, if you got a system, I'm all for it.
Oh, Kevin, I hope I said this right. Kayab. I tried. First time in the chat watching from Guam. Usually can't make the live show, but today's the day. Love you guys. We love you, Kevin.
We love you, Kevin. Dude,
yeah, love it, Kevin.
I'd go out there. Let's go to Andy J. $5 donation. Andy, appreciate you, brother. He says, over or under on Joe Milton knocking out 1.5 cheerleading / sideline reporters with a pass today. God, I'd probably go 0.5 on that and take the over. But 1.5, I don't like that. I'd probably buy the hook down, maybe push. He's at least knocking right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, look, it's an interesting time. Joe Milton, I'm surprised we just didn't send him to Afghanistan during the withdrawal and just let him throw footballs at him while we got everybody out.
No, I think that'll do it. Let's go to Right Highs, who is on Team Cone. Right Highs, don't think I didn't see that. So just know what I sent you a gift, and now I'm getting it shipped back. So now you'll never get it.
That a boy, Wyatt. Don't believe him. He didn't get you a gift.
Yeah, I did. Don't listen to Cone. Look at that face. You trust a face like that? Obviously, he's growing a mustache. God, looks good, Cone. Let's go. Hashtag Ask Du Bois. Right Highs. Which New Year's 6 game will be the highest scoring game?
Ooh, I'm gonna go. God, that's a good one. Give me, let's see, New Year's 6. Wonder it's an emotional time. It's definitely well, I know it's not New Year's. Iowa, Kentucky. You want the lowest scoring one? Give me the Rose Bowl. I think we're going to have some points in Utah, Penn State. Sean Clifford, the big white quarterback out there in year number 33, finishing it out. Utah trying to put a stamp on the end of a big season after beating USC and dashing their hopes in the Pac-12 championship. I think that game's going to be a shootout. I think a lot of people are picking that to be low scoring. I think the opposite. I think it's going to be high flying, baby.
Tony?
Man, I kind of want to take Georgia OSU. I think maybe the Buckeyes are able to put up some points, but Georgia's able to as well. I don't know. It seems like that would be one to take the under in with Georgia's defense, but I don't know. I'm thinking some points get scored.
Okay. I like that. I was going to say Georgia, Ohio State too. So
all right, guys, let's get to some picks today. I see we're getting some NFL questions too. I just say we make our picks today and give it to the chat. Just give it to the chat, whatever you guys want. Just give it to the chat. That's how we live our lives. But pretty good slate today. I think we all talked Clemson, Tennessee. I like Clemson. I like Clemson to cover. I really like the under in this game at the end of the day, which we're going to get to our bets at the end. But are y'all in the Clemson train, or one of y'all picking Tennessee?
I'm taking Tennessee.
Okay, Blaine?
I'm taking Tennessee.
Yeah. Hashtag don't trust Jim Milton.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Maryland, NC State. Maryland's down there, top 4 wide receivers, but you still have little Tua out there doing his witchcraft and wizardry. And NC State, we know it with Devin Leary getting in the portal. He was beat up a lot during the year. They've got some opt-outs as well. Guys, this is a game I'm not betting on. I will not bet on this game today. Don't trust it. Trusted the Duke money line bet a lot more than this one the other day, and that one came through. Shout out to the Blue Devils and Mike Elko. But guys, I like the under if I was going to make a bet on this game, but give me Maryland money line, because why not?
I got Maryland. I got Maryland money line in this one too. I think Mike Loxley with a whole December to prepare. NC State sort of just really disappointing down the stretch there. No Devin Leary. I know that defense is still strong, and anytime you lose 4 wide receivers opting out for Maryland, that's fairly significant because that's over half your core. But I'm going to take Maryland.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I mean, Lil Tua has some witch in him, and even you're missing your top 4 wide receivers. Those kids of the DMV, they all can just do it. Skill position wise, you're set up for life there. They're just walking around. Give me Maryland plus money.
Ooh, I like that. David, show people your sweatshirt. They're just asking about it all in the chat. Let them see it. There it is. You can get that. DailyWire.com, baby. DW Originals. Number 1. You can point it yourself.
Yeah.
Cone, Return to Glory said, did you just pronounce the S in OSU? What does that stand for, Cone?
Look, no,
that stands for Ohio Sucks University.
You said it.
What are you talking about?
You did know
what I'm talking about.
Even though you bleeped it out.
Yeah, even you and Ryan want to collude to beep it out on the soundboard.
Well, no. I didn't have anything to do with it.
Ha ha ha. We're all laughing, but at the end of the day, all right, at the end of the day, David, you said it. We're a show about truth.
What happens on Morning Wire stays on Morning Wire.
We're a show about truth. You said the words together, Ohio State.
You said Voldemort. Just admit it.
All right. You win the bathroom. You said Beetlejuice 3 times, and they got freaked out why Beetlejuice showed up. So it makes sense.
And then the furniture started flying.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're Dr. Stranging people.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Ralph Dimmer says, good morning, gentlemen, and Jake. Thanks, Ralph.
Yeah, exactly. Jake's transitioning now. We all know that.
All right. So we're all taking Maryland?
I'm taking Maryland.
Yeah, I think we had to.
I love it. Well, you know what's going to happen now. NC State will win by 30.
Yes.
Pitt and UCLA. Pitt, Keaton Slovis, Gonzo the Clown going to BYU. What a weird. That was an interesting.
I didn't know you're allowed to do that.
I didn't think you could either. Didn't you have to go hang out on some island?
Do you have to be on one of those shampoo commercials now where he dances around the shampoo in like the frolicking forest or whatever that's called? What's the green shampoo? What's it called? Irish Springs. That's it. That's what he has to go do for like 3 days, and then you can play quarterback at BYU.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You never seen the Irish Spring commercial, Dave?
I have, but what does that have to do with playing at BYU?
Like going because he's not Mormon. Like
okay.
he has to go do something to become Mormon.
You have to go hold hands and dance around in the forest for 3
That would
days.
seem more like going to Notre Dame, right?
Look, you said Ohio State. Get over it.
Yeah. I like, DTR and Charbonnet are both playing.
DTR is playing?
Yeah, DTR is playing, at least what I saw this morning. Give me UCLA big.
Yes.
Huge.
Same.
I like UCLA
huge.
I'm going to switch it up here, guys. I'm going to switch it up here. All right. I'm going to take UCLA money line. I know no one's
Whoa.
all right.
Whoa.
I'm going to switch it up. Hey, Keaton Slovis is leaving Pitt. God, no one cares. No one cares.
Yeah. Abaconda. I think I said that right. The running back who I love from Pitt, by the way, is an absolute stud.
The running back. Okay.
And then Notre Dame and South Carolina. Tyler Buckner, obviously Drew Pine, quarterback for Notre Dame, is in the portal. Tyler Buckner, I can't throw it from me to you, but I run decently good. It's going to start. Mayer, the tight end's not going to play. He's their best offensive player, in my opinion. South Carolina, a lot of momentum at the end of the year. Spencer Rattler going to play. I know Jaheim Bell jumped in the portal and went to Florida State. Marshawn Lloyd jumped in the portal too. Guys, I like South Carolina money line in this game. I don't think you'd be crazy, and you're going to see my bets at the end, to put South Carolina, Clemson, UCLA, and Maryland in a parlay with a little bit of plus money. Sprinkle a little bit inside your parents' room. Take that $20 that they don't know you know where it's at, and you put it on that parlay.
This is the Lou Holtz Bowl, boys.
And
And I like Notre Dame in this game. Maybe let's get Audric Estime and Logan Diggs downhill a little bit for Notre Dame, and maybe we complete two or three
really
passes.
Going against the grain today, Dave. I appreciate it. Really
I'm just being consistent with my bowl pick'ems, which have been working for me. So
all right, look, we gotta air this beef. Y'all, Blaine and Cone are playing in the fantasy.
This is us.
Yeah, look, I get it. You're upset. If anybody should be upset, it should be me because I kept Dalton Schultz on the bench last night in the Cowboys game. 2 touchdowns scored. So.
Yeah. How long did you think about it, Dave? What'd you say, 72 hours?
72 hours, wondering who I should start at tight end.
I don't think I needed was CD not to get in the end zone, which was huge. I think he scores, I'm done. I don't think I come back with that. But, you go back to the Cowboys. Let's be honest. Do we really see the Cowboys winning anything in the playoffs? I don't.
Trust them.
Can't trust the secondary, don't trust them. D-line, phenomenal. It's great. Secondary, don't trust him. Dak, really don't trust him. Up front, don't trust him. Good at receiver. But, I mean, if you're the Titans, Mike Vrabel should be fired. I'm sorry. Everything invested with the Titans right now needs to go. The OC, the head coach, everything needs to go. For Breeze brothers, fresh start. Just need new things right now. Because right now, Derrick Henry, career, you're not going to have this guy forever. All right. I know he's an absolute freight train, but he gets beat up every year. You have to get a new system in here. Everything needs it great. You're building a new stadium. It's perfect timing to fire everybody and just make everything new. You don't build a $2 billion stadium to put Ryan Tannehill on the field.
You just got rid of the GM.
Yeah.
You just
more
GM.
More.
No,
Darth Vader.
Not more.
Did you watch that game?
Did I watch the game?
Did I watch the game?
Yeah, I had Dalton Schultz on the bench, Blaine. Okay, freaked out when he caught the second touchdown.
Old school,
at least it wasn't Zeke. And I'm just going to keep talking. I'm not going to stop talking.
By week
12, but so yeah, you just fired the GM, and you're not going to fire Vrabel.
Did you see Joshua Dobbs' mother and
Josh
father?
Dobbs aliens,
aliens,
dude. 100%. Look. There's no way last night. Say what you want about the game. And I don't think Mike Vrabel should be fired. I think they should overhaul pretty much everything else. I don't trust Dak. I'll go ahead and tell you guys. How about this? What if I told you that the two quarterbacks in the NFL that lead the league in interceptions are Derek Carr and Dak Prescott? It's taken Derek Carr 502 pass attempts to get 14 interceptions. It's taken Dak Prescott like 342. I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
He's fake. It's the Masked Singer. Like we can say what we want. Oh, what man, he ended up playing good after the first quarter. You're making simple mistakes. You can't get a snap. You're staring down wide receivers. I mean, that last interception he threw before halftime was one of the worst interceptions I've seen by an NFL quarterback from a read to follow to finish standpoint in a while. 14, it's going to cost you in the playoffs. Dak Prescott is going to cost the Cowboys everything in the playoffs. I don't trust him. That's why I'll continue to say, I know Kirk Cousins isn't the most clutch dude of all time. I will take Kirk Cousins before I take Dak Prescott in a heartbeat. The dude is a walking turnover. I'm just telling you. Everybody, oh, we love Dak Prescott. Oh, we love Dak Prescott. Don't trust him. Don't trust him at all. So, again, the Cowboys have got some good pieces. I love that they added T.Y. Hilton. I don't think they used Michael Gallup enough. But I just, again, I'm looking at the Titans. You don't have good enough players right now. That you want to know the truth?
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And they
Titans
just got
are
rid
not
of the GM. So
Yeah,
hopefully they're getting that fixed. On Dak, traditionally, I would have agreed with you guys on Dak. And we've had this conversation a bunch of times. And if he were the quarterback of the Bills or the Bengals right now, I would be saying, yes, for sure. I agree with you. But I will say that interception, the interception he threw in the first drive week before last against the Eagles, that was the pick six, one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. Again, that pass was to Dalton Schultz as well. I think he came back and went 19 for 19 after that. He does have the ability to wipe the slate clean. And this team, to me, I know, Blaine, you have some issues with the defense, the way they played in the middle of the season, but it's still an elite defense to me. Maybe not on 49ers level, but you have a really good defense with really good pieces around you, especially if Tony Pollard gets back and you have that 1-2 punch with Pollard and Zeke. I mean, we saw what Stafford was able to do with the Rams last year. Okay, now I think Stafford throughout his career has been a better quarterback than Dak Prescott is, but it's proven that you don't have to be Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady to be able to win a Super Bowl anymore if there's a really good team around you.
I would say this. I would start with this. I think when it comes to the Dallas defense, I think they have an elite defensive front. That's what they have with DeMarcus Lawrence, Parsons, and these guys you have running around. But you get in that secondary, Diggs, Pro Bowler.
Yes.
Sure. The thing about Diggs, it's a risk-reward situation. He is going to try to jump routes. And jumping routes, you go back to last week, I believe it might have been the Eagles game or what it was, blatantly got beat because he tried to jump around in the end zone. Diggs, great player, but the secondary, mediocre at best. I know they've been through some injuries. All right, let's go to the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you get Tyrone Smith back at left tackle. He came in, looked somewhat okay. You still have a couple key pieces up there, but other than that,
goes down.
You're hurt. You lost another guy up front, and you weren't running the ball well against the Titans. And I know the Titans' identity as a defensive line, it's really tough to really get the run going. That's understandable. But you're hyping up this offensive line like it's something special. It's really not that good. Dak is the most important part of this offense. When Dak came back in after Cooper Rush, I believe that with Cooper Rush, they're 20th plus around the board on efficiency, scoring. They're top 5 in almost everything now category-wise on offense. Dak will put the ball into trouble. Even go to the pick against the game yesterday. That dude blatantly drops the ball and just falls into the Titans guy's hand. All interceptions aren't equal.
Agreed.
We all know that. But
Agreed.
I do think that you put Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott on the same level of trust, in my opinion. Hell, I don't trust either of them, especially in the playoffs. That's why they haven't won anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't trust the Vikings defense. I don't think the Vikings are going to make some run in the playoff. But it's not just about the bad play that he made. It's the timing of the bad plays. You can't, and this is what's going to get the Vikings. You can't just keep coming back in these games after not playing well early. Eventually, if Cowboys want to win a Super Bowl, that's why they're spending all this money. That's why they do all this. If you're going to win the Super Bowl, you need to catch breaks, yes, but you can't kill yourself before you get started. Eventually, you're going to run into a team that is not going to let you back in the game, like the Colts did the Vikings, or like you've seen, like the Eagles did the Cowboys. If you really go back and look at it with the backup quarterback, I'm with you, Blaine. I don't trust either of them fully. I was just making the comparison between the two. And especially if the game's at noon, give me Kirk Cousins.
Late game, to be honest with you, late game, last possession, I would rather have Kirk Cousins have the ball.
He leads the league. He leads.
I heard a stat.
Game-winning drives.
I heard a stat the other week that the Vikings are 10-0 in one-possession games. Yep.
That tells me more about the quarterback than anything. If it was Tom Brady, it'd be, oh my God. Even Tom Brady scores 2 touchdowns in the last 6 minutes to beat a terrible team late in the game. Like, Tom Brady's done it again. And Kirk Cousins comes in, leads a couple game-winning drives. They're like, oh, man, well, Kirk Cousins sucks. He should have never been in that position.
I say
Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins. Now, don't get that twisted.
T.Y. Hilton's been a nice little addition, though, for the Cowboys.
Yeah, he has. But, guys, right now, looking through the NFL, the AFC East, Buffalo's obviously already won the division at 12-3. Miami's at 8-7. Patriots at 7-8. Jets are 7-8. Cone, I wanted to ask you about the Tua Tagovailoa situation. Here's my thing on Tua, and we're going to talk about that this week. If you have ever tackled people regularly or gotten tackled, you understand you have to know how to get tackled. Not every time. Sometimes you're just going to get blasted. Sometimes some freak thing's going to happen. You're going to get pulled one way while going the other. Tua Tagovailoa is the worst. He's like my French bulldog, all right? She doesn't brace herself for impact. She jumps off the couch and just lands on the floor. And it sounds horrible. And it looks horrible. Then she gets up and scurries away. When I watch Tua get tackled, it is almost like he is trying to turn himself into a human pendulum that is going to get swung back. He doesn't know how to get tackled. I don't think Tua will play 2 more years in the league. I don't think he will, because he can't. And if it's not his head, it'll be his hip. Like, maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. I think he's born with it. I don't think he knows how to get tackled. That's going to be his downfall, in my opinion. Not that it's always his fault, but I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all have gotten tackled before. Am I taking crazy pills?
No. Look, I'm a Tua Tagovailoa fan, not only as a ball player but as a person as well. For the little bit of time that I've spent around him, loved watching him at Alabama. I think he's one of the greatest slant ball throwers I've ever seen. The fact remains, I do not think Tua will ever play a complete NFL season without getting injured. Now, does he have to play a full season to be able to like win a Super Bowl and still be a really good quarterback? Maybe not, but probably. I mean, when's the last great quarterback you've known who hasn't been able to complete a full season? At least 1 or 2 of them in their career. I can't really remember. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that Tua has a great NFL career. But if you were putting the over/under, Jake, at a few more seasons in the NFL, I would probably side with you.
Well,
Blaine, if I'm the Dolphins, am I going to get Aaron or Tom? Like, am I saying,
you have to go get somebody, because
we've got Jalen, we've got Jasicki, we've got the backs.
I think it's time to go get somebody, whether that's late in the draft or what it is. But I don't think Tua should play another snap of the NFL season this year. After that, he should be done with the amount of concussions. That's the only ones we really know about, too. Who knows what else he's had? And it's kind of one of those things. You look at Tua, and there's just certain guys out there, and it's really hard to explain, especially being a former player. You can find the most athletic guys that are hard to tackle, but when they get tackled, they don't know how to get tackled, right? Tua is one of those guys. It kind of reminds me of Austin Coley or Collie, who used to play for the Colts, receiver, white kid, nasty, right? Knew how to do it, would go get any ball. Half of it was going across the middle. Half of it he just didn't know how to get tackled, guys. And if you don't know how to get tackled in the NFL, how big and how fast these guys are, if you don't know how to land, and there's different ways you land on regular field, and there's different ways you need to land on turf. That's just the way it is. And Tua is such a great player. He just baby horses it in the pocket. And he doesn't know how to get tackled. It's like he's learning how to walk when he gets tackled. And that's a type of, and being the guy he is with the Bo Jackson injury and all the little things he's gone through, to add concussions on top of the list. And someone are going to have to tell Tua, whether it's family or coach, because if it's Tua, we're the same way. We're going back out there. We don't know. We don't care how many times we get hit in the head or whatever it is. We've all gotten hit. We've got up, saw 4 of everybody got up. Well, let's get to the next play. We're like that. Someone's going to have to grab Tua and pull his ass out, because he's not going to do it, which I respect to a certain level. But parents, family, whatever it is, it gets to a point where, man, there's stuff that's bigger than football.
And how in the NFL, and I know we know really nothing about the human brain or what's in the bottom of the ocean or what's really out there in space, but like, if you've watched enough football, just me watching the game, I could tell that when Tua got tackled like that and slammed his back of the head in the ground, he's probably got a concussion. Like, he's immediately, there are tackles that you see where if you've watched enough football, you're like, yep, all right, that does not look right, or that person that does not look right. I don't understand why the NFL has such a hard time identifying, hey man, we need to look at that, or we need, because if you're going to go there and just say, all right, hey man, are you good to go? That player is going to tell you he's good.
Yeah,
like Blaine is, especially when you're the leader, when you're the quarterback, when you're the one that everybody's looking to. But I mean, guys, y'all saw how he got tackled. I mean, I'm watching people I never agree with on ESPN talking about it. I mean, you got to go get that guy. Especially with his history. This isn't like the first time or something like that. I mean, it's not Taysom Hill, whose head's made of titanium and vibranium and all the other aniums that there is.
Yeah, and if it were only concussions, that would be another conversation altogether. But he's had so many injuries throughout his career.
And people need to realize what these guys are signing up for. You know what I'm saying? Like, every potential tackle in the NFL is compared to a miniature car wreck. All right, so you are signing up to get concussions. You go back to even the middle school, high school football, you are signing up to get concussions. It is the way of the road when it comes to football. Does that make it all right? No. It should be monitored. Yeah, extremely closely monitored. But no, it does come with this. But I do think the level of concussions, I mean, it's the difference. I don't know if we know enough, to be honest. So go to Kevin Kayabaebe. What's up, Kevin? $10 donation. Appreciate it, Kev. He says, no questions. Just love, fellas, man. Appreciate it, Kev. All love to you, my guy.
Big love, Kevin.
Justin Decker, are we talking uppy decky? Someone who had a skull fracture with a $5 donation. Tua needs to retire. Justin's been through some ish, man.
Yeah,
breaking up fights with Reese Dismuke and Reuben Foster.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a skull fracture.
from what I heard.
Um,
All right, guys. I want to get into our Saturday picks. Flaming Dragon, Conathan, then maybe a couple NFL picks for Sunday before we kind of ride off into the sunset on the Saturday. I've been holding a sneeze back for the past 3 minutes.
Let it go.
Let it out, man.
Let it go.
I hope everybody is unbelievably impressed. I've been holding the sneeze back for 3 minutes because we want to give you guys the content. All right, so let's start out with the game everybody cannot wait for tomorrow, the one that everybody's jacked about, Iowa and Kentucky, guys, in the Trans-Perfect, which I think is a new makeup line coming from Leah Thomas, the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. Guys, you love the under in this game. You know, obviously Will Levis, who's the most overrated quarterback I've seen in a long time, isn't playing in Iowa. Whatever they've had at quarterback should never play again. I don't know in this game. To me, this just feels like it's going to be a low-scoring, weird game. Give me Iowa because it's going to be low-scoring and weird.
I've got Iowa 52-49.
No, sorry, Con. That was 5.2 to 4.9.
Oh, yes. I missed the decimal, just like math class. Sorry.
Yeah.
God, man.
Oh, no.
This is one of those games. Look, I love college football. I love it so much, but I'm not excited about this Iowa-Kentucky game.
You'll watch it, though.
This takes offenses back. This is one of the games. I go back to that on the Bucs-Cardinals game. Both these teams got worse at the end of this game. They got worse. I think both these teams in Iowa and Kentucky were probably worse than what they are when they started, but I do like Iowa. I don't even know who's playing quarterback Kentucky these days.
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter. I think I am. So I'm going to go Iowa. Cone, you're going Iowa. Blaine, you're going Iowa?
Yes, I am.
Indeed.
I don't like
that's 2 on the board. You're getting close, bud.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 on the board.
We're down to the end, too. Hold on. Let me just neuralize myself. There we go. Okay, next one. Alabama, Kansas State. This is the bowl game outside of, obviously, the college football playoff I've been looking forward to the most. Bryce Young playing. Will Anderson playing, which, by the way, I saw Will Anderson projected to go to the Seahawks. What a great pick that would be, in my opinion. Obviously, Bryce didn't want to go out on a high note, but something about Will Howard and Kansas State and Deuce Vaughn hiding in pockets and jumping out and scaring people. Oh, where is he? He's in the end zone. We're down by 7. Give me Kansas State kicks a field goal to win it. All right, give me the Wildcats.
Look, I let a lot of Kansas State fans down at the beginning of the year with my preseason predictions, and I made amends for that by picking Kansas State in the Big 12 championship over TCU. That one hit, so I have to now, with them playing Alabama, pick Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay. With Bryce
Young and Will Anderson. You took the long way around to get to Alabama.
Yeah. Look, I got to go with Alabama. We got to keep cohesion in the household here. Yeah. You know, there's going to be a lot of
Darby holding you at guns.
Crimson pom-poms and a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to say roll tide.
Yeah, Darby's just sitting right off camera, just staring at him.
Russian.
Give me Alabama in this game. Crash. I mean, one thing, look, Kansas State, great year. Will Howard, I mean, the little kid in the elevator is pressing all the buttons, Deuce Vaughn. But at the end of the day, what's scarier than an Alabama team? A healthy Alabama team. And, oh, boy, will they be healthy. So I think Saban gets these guys ready. I think Jahmyr Gibbs just absolutely freaks out. He's like a miniature predator. I think Bryce is the best quarterback in college football, has a big day, a Heisman-worthy day.
Blaine, when you said press all the buttons in the elevator, it made me think on that scene from Elf where when he gets in the elevator and he presses all the buttons and he gets – he's like, I wish I could out to you, but my dad works on this floor. I watched that movie when Peter Dinklage comes in that movie to pitch the guys about what the new children's book should be.
Oh, yeah.
So not
on a farm,
angry elf thing, but because of he goes in there and the guy's ideas are all about like vegetables on farms, like the next children's book, and he's like, no. He's like, that's just going to be white noise. It's like everybody's writing about that right now. And he leaves his idea book and they run in with the idea book and they're like, oh my gosh, this first idea for Miles Finch is incredible. It's about a peach that lives on a farm. What's more vulnerable than a peach?
So true, though.
It is true. All right, so I'm taking K-State. Cone's taking Bama. Blaine, you're taking Bama?
I am.
Okay. All right, here we go, guys. Ohio. I'm going to save this one for last. I'm going to save a certain one for last, David. You know that. Ohio State and Georgia. Guys, I keep hearing this is going to be the best semifinal game. Ohio State's got the cats outside. They may have the cats outside, but I don't believe in them up front. I don't believe in the physicality of Ohio State. I think Georgia wins this game by double digits. I think Georgia dominates this game up front. I think TCU Michigan, and we're going to get my pick there in a second. I think TCU Michigan will be a much better game than this. CJ Stroud in big games tends to put that invisibility cloak on. How can I get to Hogwarts? I don't know. We can't find you. Give me Georgia by at least 10 in this game.
I want a score, Jake. Give me a score.
Give me Georgia 34, Ohio State 21. Ohio State 24.
So I'm looking back at last year when Michigan was able to beat OSU, and the next time we saw them, they were in the Rose Bowl against Utah, one of the best bowl games that we saw last season, right? And Ryan Day couldn't even enjoy it because he was wanting to get back at Michigan, so badly. And in that game, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 280 yards receiving, something like that, maybe even past 3 bills, like Rose Bowl record or something. Well, he's not going to be playing this game, and he hasn't played for much of the season. So I'm thinking, like, how are the Buckeyes going to respond now after losing to your biggest rival again? But this season, you were able to sneak into the college football playoff. That's what I'm most interested to see. It's just when you're down Jackson Smith and Jigba, when you're down Travion Henderson, how much can CJ Stroud do with Marvin Harrison Jr. and some of the other weapons that they do have around them? How's the defense going to respond? I think Georgia has just proven to be the most dominant team in the country over the last 2 seasons. I have Georgia 38-31 in this one.
Ooh, I like look, I've made it a habit of picking against Georgia in certain situations. I will not do that right now. I might not do it ever again, to be honest. Georgia's a better football team in every facet. I mean, offense, defense, special teams. I mean, probably in the weight room, probably in the film room. Georgia's just a better team. You give Kirby and Will Muschamp this amount of time to scheme you on defense.
Yeah.
Good luck. Who knows what they're telling these monsters? Who knows what they're telling? Like, no one really knows. Give me Georgia 31-17.
Telling them, I'm more worried about what they're feeding them. Troy Jacobs, $1.99 donation, says, what's more important? This has been hot in the chat. All right, what's more important, talent or character? Now, we all know that you want both, okay? They're both important. And they both, at times, you want both of them, but you can settle for one over the other. But let's just think about this from a truly logistical standpoint. If I stand up a 5-star, let's just say 5-star wide receiver that may not be the best guy in the world. Let's be honest. Maybe he's been late to the weight room a couple times. Maybe he screams at his mom or something like that compared to, John Smitherman over there, who's good guy, Boy Scout leader, cleans his room, good to animals. And I throw a fade ball. At some point, science is going to take over. Talent gets you there. Character finishes the job. It's a hard argument to make because there's not teams that just have talent or teams that just have character. And I can say that character, in my opinion, is an attribute of talent. I will add character to the whole person when it comes down to the talent and overall production of that person. Now, if we're saying, do you get more out of somebody just from them being all they can be individually? Do you get more out of somebody that has very high character and not as much talent, or very high talent and not as much character? I think you get more out of somebody that has better character, but I feel like it's easier to mold character than it is talent. I can't make you be able to dunk the ball. Once you can dunk it, I can help you out and help you off the field and things like that. But I do think talent at the end of the day, that's why we talk about culture, right? You can take somebody that maybe doesn't have the best character of all time. You think they potentially could, and you bring them into your locker room, and that's what changes them. So it's a hard argument because there's not teams out there that just have good character or that just have talent. The best teams have both, and it's typically a blend.
Well, what's the ultimate goal? Did he say it in the question?
To win a championship.
Did he say that, or we're just assuming that?
Well, they're talking about that in the chat because I think they're talking about Urban Meyer and what's more important.
You said donate, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what's
more important.
What's more important? Character. Yeah, well, it depends on what the goal is. Like, what's the goal? Like, if my life were on the line,
would be winning a championship.
Well, if my life were on the line and I needed somebody to dunk a basketball, and you got Dennis Rodman there, and you have someone else who's can't dunk a basketball, then I'm going to pick Dennis Rodman. But see, that's where it gets into the conversation of, I think the ultimate goal should be beyond winning football games in our society. It should be creating young men who can be good neighbors. So when we say like, oh, well, this guy over here may have character issues, but I trust him to go catch the fade ball or dunk the basketball. Yes. But do I want that guy to be my next door neighbor? No. Do I want that guy to be working down the street from me in our communities? No. But at the same time, I think that's one of the special things about college football is you may have someone who has had character issues who can grow out of those under the right tutelage if you pick the right football coaches and the right leaders to lead these teams.
Yeah, that's the trick. I wouldn't want to live next to Dennis Rodman either, Cone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Does he even live in America anymore?
I don't know. No one really knows. Look, at the end of the day, if you're talking about winning championships, man, it's talent. Look, come from a guy, I've seen terrible people be extremely good at football. I mean, you go to the NFL, I mean, yeah, I don't know, 50-50 split, but there's really good players who are really crappy people. So if to winning a championship, I mean, you got to go talent. As depressing as it sounds, I mean, most guys with great character who aren't talented become GAs. I mean, it's just the most realistic thing about it. So,
yeah.
I mean, most of the kids I've seen, and there's nothing worse, to be honest with you, is being a player and working your ass off and trying to do everything right. And then just the guy they pick up off the somewhere one day comes in, who's a complete asshole and doesn't work hard, picks up everything in the gym, then goes run a 4.4. So it hurts to a certain extent. But I mean, who's
winning the long game? Who's winning?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about winning championships, Dave.
Who's winning the long game?
You picking me or Antonio Brown to run routes?
Like that guy won the battle, but you have won the next battle. To quote,
but if you're the head coach, I don't think the AD is going to come in there after you just went 3-9 and say, "Guys, I know we went 3-9 and lost our rival, but guess what? Rick's getting married, guys." Like, it depends on kind of the circumstance, but in the long run, obviously, you want to form great people. That's why football, in my opinion, is the greatest teacher of life. But all right, TCU and Michigan. All right, I think this is going to be the best game of the New Year's Six and the college football playoff semifinal. Everybody's counting TCU out because typically people counted Michigan out, and Michigan was in that underdog role. But let's just look at the recipe here. Let's really dive into it. TCU, offensive line, massive. Kendre Miller, they should be able to run the ball pretty well. You have an experienced quarterback that just got the ball taken out of his hands in a big moment. Garrett Riley's not making that mistake again, I promise you. The wide receiver room at TCU, and I think Max can have time back there, and we know he can extend the play with his feet. I think they have guys that can make the incredible plays to be able to keep them in the game. The problem is it's not letting the dam break in the second half when that Michigan offensive line just continues to lean on you and hit you and slam you and smush you. That's what they do. They smush people. I think TCU has to get a lead in this game to be able to have a chance at the end, if that makes sense, if you guys are smelling what I'm stepping in there. I don't think this can sit here and turn in to just haymaker after haymaker because that's Michigan's game. Michigan wants a 6-7 round bludgeoning fight, because they know in the end, that's their identity and that's the trap they set for you. They do not want to go up and down. They do not want TCU throwing the ball down the field, Johnson making big-time catches, breaking a tackle, and having to go Cobra Strike for Cobra Strike. They want Python for Python. I think TCU, fellas, wins this game. I think TCU finds a way, Max Duggan, to win this game. I really do.
I'm not sure how this narrative got created that Michigan is going to just roll over TCU and that they're automatically in the national championship. I'll tell you this, for Michigan right now, Georgia does not exist.
Yeah.
Your biggest rival, the Buckeyes, do not exist. The only other college football team in the country is TCU, and it's going to take every fiber of your being, a focus that you've never known, to be able to beat them in the semifinal, or else those other teams literally will not exist. And you're not going to get a chance to have another shot at Georgia. You're not going to get a rematch against your biggest rival because TCU and Max Duggan, this unbelievable quarterback, they're going to win the game by 10 points, and they're going to go play in the national championship. You cannot look past this team. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, Jake, if this game is close at all in the first half, because that's how the entire season has been for Michigan. One, because they have a run-first identity, so they're chewing a lot of clock. They're not blowing teams out in the first half, but mostly because Michigan's best strength, and like I've told you guys, I have not seen this over the Jim Harbaugh era so far, but this season has been different. They've been winning second halves. They've been running to the locker room, making the necessary adjustments, coming back, and beating teams to a pulp in the second half of football games. So if you're a Michigan fan, that's obviously what you want to see. Tennessee in this case, but I think it will be close in the first half, and I'm going to take the Wolverines to win the game and stay focused.
Flaming.
All right. You don't have to call me Flaming anymore, Jake. You already lost the bet.
God.
Yeah, I know. So this game, couple keys here. One, I would say if you're Michigan, you need to take the early shots from TCU. TCU is going to come out early and trying to hit you with the right, hit you with left, hit you with big shots down the field, which they might hit, but you just need to stand up and stay tall. One, for TCU, what's the line of scrimmage look like? At the end of the day, if you're getting pushed around by Michigan in the first half, it's only going to get worse in the second half. TCU, you need explosive plays down the field. You need Max Duggan to be Max Duggan. You need that tree at receiver to play well. And if Michigan on offense, what are they giving you? Pick your poison type of thing. Go back to the Ohio State game. Ohio State said what? We're going to load the box. All right, J.J. McCarthy, show me. All right, what did JJ did? He showed Ohio State that he can push the ball down the field, whether that's double moves, over the post, over the top, or whatever it is. They have the athletes, a receiver to do that. I think this game, TCU goes in up at halftime. I really think the Ohio State, they go in up at halftime, then it slowly starts to fall apart. It's like Georgia from last year defense when it comes to Michigan offense. Gravity happens. All right, and it's a lot easier if you're J.J. McCarthy to turn around, hand the ball, go get 4 and 5, and set up the play action for the rest of the game. Michigan's depth, their size and speed up front will be the different in this game. Max Duggan can do all he can. He did all he could against Kansas State. All he could, but what could Kansas State do? Deuce, get your little ass out there. Go get 7. All right, and there's going to be little about Michigan. They're going to pound the football, hit you in the flats. Then what? We're going to bring a couple more hats in the box. They're going to hit you deep. Give me Michigan, I think, by 14 plus in this game. I think they're a better team.
All right, you got him by 14 plus?
14
Wow.
plus.
But you think TCU will be up at half?
14-10.
So Blaine, I love that bet, and I just looked at it on DraftKings. You can't find it just yet, but tomorrow morning I would encourage people to at least take a peek at what the same game parlay would be for TCU to be up at half, but for Michigan to win the football game. I think you get some great bang for your buck in the plus money on that bet.
I agree.
I think you would. All right, so I'm going TCU. Y'all two are going Michigan. We're all taking Georgia, correct? Nobody picked Ohio State?
Yep.
Love that. All right, so let's get to bets, guys. My phone just died, Blaine, but I texted the bets in our group chat this morning. So if you don't mind, if you have yours, can you read mine out? Because I'm pretty excited about them, even though I don't care because we're 0-0 yesterday, 2-0.
Do you grown up and charge your phone at night?
Well, I did. First off, you telling anybody to do that is your phone. Show everybody your screen on your phone. It looks like you got dropped off the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, look at that. It looks like you got.
I'm not good with phones. I'm not good. I throw things when I get mad. Let's go to Jake's bets today. 2-0 yesterday, Jake.
0-0.
We were running away with it, my guy. Let's go to first bet. South Carolina plus 3.5. Clemson money line. UCLA money line plus 272. That's a good bet right there. I like that. Let's go to your second bet. South Carolina Notre Dame under 55.5. Clemson Tennessee under 68.5. Pittsburgh UCLA over 48.5. That's coming in at a plus 246. I haven't looked at the standings today, but you're going plus 2 bets. Love that. Coney, what's yours?
I'm going to take Tennessee plus 4.5. That's at plus 100. So an alternate line down from, what was that, 6, I believe, this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So plus 4.5, plus 100 to get into the plus money there. And then I'm going to take Maryland money line, just like Jake was talking about, and that's minus 105.
Ooh, I love that. All right, my bets for today. All right, we'll see. John Shines. I'm Matt Ryan, this thing all the way to the top. Giving Maryland plus 10.5, plus UCLA minus 1.5, and the under at 60.5 in the Carolina Notre Dame game. That's at plus 145. Then I'm going to take Clemson Tennessee under 68.5, plus UCLA money line. South Carolina plus 3.5, and Clemson money line that's coming out at a plus 395.
I think we were up as a group. I think Sergio went 2-0 yesterday. I think we were up like 7 units yesterday.
Yeah, when Sergio hits like one bet, it's like 30 messages in the group chat, dog. You to think he just hit that.
Well, no, that one he hit yesterday though. I mean, he hit like Cowboys money line, Cowboys first half, Cowboys whatever, Dalton Schultz touchdown.
Is Zeke touchdown?
Dalton Schultz called yesterday.
He did.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
all right, guys. So let's update everybody.
Zeke.
What's the score of y'all's fantasy right now?
I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose.
21. It's 21. Hold
10,
on.
21-9.
It's 21-9. 21-9. CeeDee Lamb had 21 points last night. Dalton Schultz had 24 on my bench. Awesome. And then Zeke scored a touchdown. Blaine, that's good.
I had Zeke anytime yesterday.
So you're going to start Jalen Hurts, huh?
Well, if he plays,
You're going to start Jalen.
what do you want? You want me to start the gumball smuggler? And
Look,
Jared
I don't think
Goff?
it's a bad idea. He's been hot.
Jalen, come here, man. Take a seat.
D-Hop's on the bench.
Look, a lot of people have been asking around, especially in the facility, questioning your toughness. All right. Do you want to push the number one spot in the playoffs or not?
They're already in the playoffs.
This has to be your best performance this Sunday. All right. I'm talking about like, oh, he left Alabama to Oklahoma. Is he really from Alabama? He's the Eagles. He's hurt. Oh, Cowboys making fun of you. Micah Parsons is talking about you in back rooms. You don't let that slide, Jalen? Yeah. Big performance from you. And then we get Alvin Kamara, A.J. Dillon. Alvin Kamara gets I don't know who he's playing, but they're taking it out on third downs. You get Alvin Kamara for PPR. All right, they're not even. Everyone in the Saints should be fired. Let me coach him. Alvin have a smooth 40-piece.
You don't have AJ Dillon playing though.
They'll play AJ Dillon, the Vikings for Alvin. That's the real question. And then you go to the receivers: Keenan Allen, Devontae Smith, Chris Godwin, or D-Hop. I need 3 out of that. I need 3. Who 3 are you taking with those 4? D-Hop, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Devontae Smith.
Look, it's going to be a fist fight, guys. It's going to be a fist fight. I do want to say, somebody in the chat said I would take Tennessee, but I think Joe Milton's going to get arrested for murder by halftime for taking out somebody on an overthrow, throwing RPGs into the crowd. Guys, I did want to say I'm rooting. Obviously both you guys. I want a clean, good Sunday. Coming down to the wire. We'll see who wins it. The question is, doesn't the loser have to take a blow-up doll out for a date?
I don't think we agree on that, Kevin. I know you won't do that. I mean,
it doesn't have to be like a weird blow-up doll. It can just be like a blow-up doll. We don't have to get weird with it.
Who's buying the blow-up doll again? I mean, if the blow-up doll is
the loser has to buy it, right?
Like, I don't got money.
Blaine?
You don't got
Blaine?
money.
I got money like
you don't got money.
I don't know, man. How about one of us do a cold plunge?
I thought we said no on that. Look, y'all do it. Good luck.
Would you rather bring a blow-up doll to dinner, Dave, or do a cold plunge?
Cold plunge is good for you. I do them every week.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You text me. I'll do whatever.
I'll at you on Twitter.
Figure it out.
I mean, whatever it is, you're not going to follow through on it because I still haven't been shot in the back with a paintball gun. It's been the psychological warfare.
First of all,
psychological effects of it hanging over me.
I didn't know I had to go through the black market. I have to call the Russians to get a paintball gun. I don't know what's going on.
Just because you don't have
paintball gun. I'll get you a paintball gun by 3 o'clock with nail polish on it.
On a paintball gun to shoot you in the back.
Just because you don't have the steady hands to pull off a procedure like that.
Give me the funds for it. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm not going out of my way to buy a paintball gun that I can't afford to shoot you in the back.
That you can't
afford.
Y'all
two rich guys want to buy it, feel free.
Yeah, I'm going to go buy the paintball gun to get shot in the back.
You lost. You should buy it.
After I told you when we made the bet, the loser, I'm not setting up the logistics of it.
Okay.
I love how Blaine says he has no money and he's the only one he's responsible for. Like, I just find that hilarious.
And so
you have 2 kids and wife. I've got a wife and a house. Like, it's like I got no money.
Hey, I got an apartment. I got like
they're gonna find Blaine when he's 105 years old and he ends up in his apartment passing away. They're gonna find bags full of money and gold and coins. And also that Blaine said he never had.
Now, what am I spending my money on? Yeah, it's called Giraffe Kings.
Yeah, Blaine, you're up. Which, by the way, Cody, I think I'm up 12 units right now if we're going to be talking about units. But, anyways,
quit saying.
How about loser has to
rubbing your pretend beard to do that?
It's not pretend. It's here. If you can touch them, they're real. That's my rule.
Would you go sumo wrestling against a professional sumo wrestler?
God, Blaine would love that. He'd love if he could.
Wearing the whole sumo wrestler outfit?
Because I'm fat. I'm fat because I eat.
He said, I eat because I'm unhappy.
Yeah,
I'm unhappy because I eat.
Get in my belly.
All right, guys. There for you. All right, guys. We appreciate everybody. Make sure you subscribe. Those are our picks. I'm going to tweet them out as well once my phone turns back on. We're going back normal showtime live 6:30 to 8 Central next Monday. We're not going to have a Sunday show because it's New Year's, and good luck with that. But we appreciate you guys. Make sure you go to the Daily Wire Plus. Check out all our sponsors too: Athletic Greens, Black Rifle Coffee, all that stuff. Check them out. We appreciate it. All right, parting shots, fellas.
Austin Eckler, please pull your hamstring.
Whoa, that's your boy.
Yeah, that's why I can say that.
Yeah, that's your friend.
That's why I
That's
can
your
say that.
friend.
Why do you think
That's
I
your
said
son
that?
friend.
You know
I can
what?
say
I
that
don't know.
because we're
Darby
boys.
Lou's over here talking about she would go to the restaurant just to laugh at me when I take the blow up doll.
It would be so
That's how
funny,
it
Darby.
is.
Wouldn't it be so funny?
Look, I'm down. Let's do it, Blaine.
All right, I'm down.
What? So that's the bet?
Loser.
I'm not
Date
buying
night.
the doll.
Yes.
Date night with the doll.
Yes.
Date night with the doll. Virtual
Yes.
handshake.
Can we take it to the movie theater?
You weirdo. We're not trying to get
Well,
y'all
at least I can
married.
see a movie. Yeah, I can take it to Hooters.
All right. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave it. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Y'all are the best. We'll catch y'all live Monday morning, 6:30 a.m. Central, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. And just like the chances of these Bulls not meaning anything anymore, we're going, gone.